Hello, I'm Mike Craig, the city's principal planner, and I'm here today to talk about the transportation network as part of the Fredericksburg Forward process. And I say I'm going to talk about it, but really I've got an expert in the room. This is Nick Ruiz, planning program manager with the Virginia Railway Express, expert on all things that have to do with VRE and a lot about our train station here in the city of Fredericksburg, as he's also a sitting member of the Fredericksburg Area Metropolitan Planning Organization's Technical Advisory Committee. That's a mouthful. Nick is going to deliver some remarks today about the status of VRE's planning in and around Fredericksburg, and hopes that it enlightens us as we move forward in our planning process. Nick?
Yeah, thanks, Mike. So happy to present on VRE's draft System Plan 2050. I think it's a really amazing document, something we don't get to update every year. It's typically once every 5 to 10 year process. And so I'm going to provide a little bit of a detail on that and how it may impact the city in the next couple of decades. So VRE's Draft System Plan 2050 builds on the transformational opportunities afforded by the Commonwealth of Virginia's Transforming Rail in Virginia initiative, which gives VRE the ability to add service through the next several decades to better respond to growing and changing travel demands in the Fredericksburg region and beyond. VRE's plan, which is in draft form pending adoption by VRE's Operations Board, outlines general strategies for where, when, and how VRE trains will operate in the future, as well as the necessary station, track, and rolling stock investments that will be needed by 2050 to support that operation. The last system plan was adopted in 2014, and the Fredericksburg region has changed significantly since then. The current draft plan responds to changes in regional travel patterns, including things like telework and continued regional growth and highway congestion. The Commonwealth's Transforming Rail in Virginia initiative, led by the Virginia Passenger Rail Authority, provides VRE a framework with which to grow, tying rail capacity improvements to new service between the Fredericksburg area and Washington, D.C. So what's in the plan for Fredericksburg? System Plan 2050 proposes a gradual increase in the number of daily trains serving our region, from 8 round trips today to 14 in the 2030 decade, 21 in the 2040 decade, and up to 29 round trips by 2050. Practically, by 2050, that means Fredericksburg and the Fredericksburg station will see a VRE train every 20 minutes in the weekday peak period peak direction, every half hour in the reverse peak direction, and every hour at all other times. Additionally, VRE would run later into the evening and on weekends to provide train service at times that are not currently served. This additional service is likely to generate significant additional ridership demand through 2050. The City of Fredericksburg will need to consider how best to provide access to the over 1,400 weekday trips and weekday riders expected to use the Fredericksburg station by 2050. In addition to ridership growth, increased VRE service would save the DC and Fredericksburg regions over $16.7 million in annual personal vehicle operating cost savings. That's money that you and I wouldn't have to pay to run our cars, as VRE would provide more attractive options for travelers between Fredericksburg, Northern Virginia, and DC. VRE's full 2050 service vision would avoid 64,000 annual hours of travel delay and avoid 4,100 tons of annual CO2 emissions into the region's environment. With this expansion, VRE could allow the region to divert over 51 million annual vehicle miles traveled, providing an alternative to traveling congested interstate and major regional highways. Ultimately, VRE's vision is to grow to serve the region as a transportation service of choice, creating meaningful connections and economic opportunities in a safe, sustainable, reliable, and equitable manner. The localities that host VRE stations will be key to VRE's success through 2050 by planning for the right uses and transportation connections to our train station.
Nick, that's a tremendous amount of great information. I really appreciate you taking the time today. It sounds like the Fredericksburg train station is going to continue to be a more and more vibrant part of the community with increased service and potentially increased passengers.
Yeah, certainly. With any transit service, and when you increase transit service, you're going to start to attract new riders that are taking trips that wouldn't be viable when you're not running as frequently throughout the day. And so System Plan 2050 projects that by 2050, with the increase in VRE service, we could see up to 1,400 daily riders at the Fredericksburg station. That is primarily being driven by the increase in service, but it's also being driven by the projected increases in population in the Fredericksburg area, as well as employment both in Fredericksburg and in employment centers in Northern Virginia and DC.
So currently, the VRE system departs from Fredericksburg and goes up to Northern Virginia in the morning, and then doesn't return until the evening. Part of the system plan sounds like maybe that's going to be reconsidered, in that actually there will be two-way travel along the system in the future. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, certainly. Part of the 2050 service vision for VRE on the Fredericksburg line and the Manassas line is running more bi-directional service. We recognize that there are a lot of trips that we're not capturing that are going up to DC and coming back at times that we don't operate. And so our goal is to be able to, by 2050, run a 20-minute headway, so that's a train every 20 minutes in the traditional commuting time, the peak period, peak direction time, but also hopefully run up to 2 trains an hour in the reverse peak direction. At all other times that aren't peak period commuting times, our goal is to be running a train in each direction every hour. We think that'll balance out the schedule and give people options, transportation options, for travel in and out of the Fredericksburg region.
Thank you, Nick. That's great information. It's good to have the experts from around the region here to inform this process as we go through Fredericksburg Forward and look at how our transportation network is going to evolve. Thinking through aspects of the system plan as it relates to the train station, as it relates to the trains that are coming through there. How do we get people to and from the train station in the next 20 years? Now that folks are coming down from Northern Virginia on a more regular basis on the train, what does that mean in terms of land use in and around the train station, in our corridors, and the connectivity? And especially, what do we do about that last mile? Getting people to and from and about the city of Fredericksburg once they've gotten here. Thank you for your input today. We look forward to talking more about that as the Fredericksburg Forward planning process continues.
Appreciate your time. Thank you.